Weird.
Okay, yeah.
Is it working?
We
now?
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should be live.
One sec, I'm gonna put it to your screen.
Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. Fine. There is a little bit of echo on my end, so sorry for that. But yeah, if you can just type into the chat if you can hear me, it would be very nice. No one is typing, but I think everyone can hear me because I can hear myself from the video. Okay, so hi everyone, welcome after a little of a break, which is completely my fault. I was moving, so yeah, we are finally back, and we will do our best to do this on a regular weekly basis as we did it before. So before we jump into the markets, we still have the same sponsor for the stream, which is Coin Market Manager. I'm sure most of you know it's a automated trading journal. It pulls all your data from the API. And if you are going to use our link, which is in the description, then you will get a completely free premium access to the Bybit, where you have to use the link for. So you can see, usually it costs $70 a month. If you are going to use our link, then you will get it completely for free. Obviously, you will have to have a KYC now. This is a new thing on Bybit, but I'm sure you can somewhat transfer that to the new account if you want to use the CoinMarketMan journal. Obviously, it's going to help us as well a little bit with the slight bump on your fees. So with that being said, let's take a look at the markets. BTC, basically, I don't know where was the last stream we did. I think it was towards the end of the May. Not all that much happened. If you kind of don't look at these 2 or 3 days, we moved to the upside. We've been in quite a bit of range. I was, and I think Runner as well, and a lot of people, last week we had this kind of a failure on a break from the resistance, which is quite surprising considering how many positive things has happened. I wasn't trading super actively as I was moving, but I was watching all the ETFs, the XRP is not security type of thing and everything. With all of that, you would kind of expect this market to rally much higher, but it didn't really happen. We got stuck at the top of the range. There was quite a nice short setup here on a Thursday last week with a bunch of the open interest coming in, especially on ETH, but also on BTC. So hopefully some of you traded that. But now we are kind of coming to the opposite side of the range. We are finally traded this double bottom we have here. From June, end of the June, basically this kind of other side of the range, very very simply. What I like about this on the H4 chart is the way that we went down. Now you can see this kind of a grinding price action to the downside. I think there was a bunch of open interest build up coming into this, so there would be most likely plenty of shorts. We can take a look at that later. Piling in. So if this is going to start to show signs of strength, I would expect some rotation to the upside. From my more of a higher time frame targets, where I would be looking at, I don't know if we would gonna get that, but this 28.4 area is, I think, quite a nice level on a weekly. We had a resistance, support, bunch of action here, and this is basically the last resistance before we broke to the upside. And also there is a edge of this high volume node. From the weekly perspective, weekly market structure, basically this is a swing high that made this low, and we traded above it and closed above it. So on a weekly time frame, if you look at more of a kind of the simple things like a market structure, which very often works quite nicely. You can see this kind of a similar situation here. This is the high, this is a swing high that made this last swing low. We broke above it. You get a pullback into this area, push to the upside. So it can be very similar situation with this. Obviously, this is a huge level, so it's a huge range. So I'm not really rushing into longs. Like I said, I like this 28.4 level quite a bit. Is also like the middle of this big weekly candle. Basically, if you have this kind of a big liquidity gap, the midpoint of this is also sitting somewhere in this area. For my kind of upside targets, I would be looking at obviously new high into the swing high here. And like I said, we are taking the other side of the range. If we are not going to sell off lower, you can use kind of the same technique. I'm not sure how order flow is looking right now, as I'm not really we were setting up the stream and everything, but if you would want to get like a more safe, quote unquote safe entry for a short, then once again, this is the swing high, made this low. If you are going to trade above it, you can bid on the retest. This is quite a nice swing point at that time, because we, like I said, took out this double bottom and continuation higher towards this kind of a very weak structure, where basically, if you're gonna think about that, everyone that was shorting in this area is sitting quite happy in their positions. So if this would show signs of strength, I think this could very easily blow up all these people piling in shorts in the last 2 days or what the time horizon is there. So this is something that I would be looking at. Also, we would get, this is the previous week low here, so reclaim of that would be also kind of a nice confluence level. If this was just start to roll down here, I don't really see any short entry at the moment. Like I don't really want to short the support or the range lows. But if this wouldn't show any signs of strength, then I would be waiting for that 28.4 level that I mentioned previously. So kind of boring sideways days, grinding lower. I think obviously in situations like these, when market is not like unidirectional but more like grinding to the downside, everyone is piling in short, and I prefer to just wait and see if I can get a long entry to trade into these people, rather than just jumping to the short with kind of everyone. So very quickly for the BTC, ETH is, I think, kind of the same thing. We took out the weekly swing point last week. Basically, you can see right here, sold off from there. I think ETH has, although ETH sold much less than BTC, you can see that obviously this is that Thursday candle from last week. This is the Thursday candle from last week on BTC. Bitcoin is trading way kind of below it. ETH is still basically holding up this this daily consolidation that led to this move to the upside. So you can argue that ETH is a little stronger here, but at the same time, I'm not a super fan of these kind of grinding, swing lows before the move to the upside. So I'm not really rushing into longs here as well. Also, if you are going to take a look on the right side, on the volume profile, we are right in the middle of the distribution. So if we would, once again, if you're going to take a look at the lower time frames, but I will mark this edge of these volumes here. This is the edge basically where the volume kind of started to cut off on the upside. Yeah, it's right here, and you can see that we tried to reclaim that yesterday, or overnight, basically in the midnight yesterday. We failed to do that, sold off more. So I would be much more confident if ETH would kind of show strength above it, than to trade back into this consolidation that led to the downside movement. So I'm not super interested in this. If you're gonna take a look at price action of ETH from basically March, we are kind of hovering between 2K and 1800 back and forth. So yeah, I'm much more focused on BTC at the moment, with much more kind of cleaner price action, and sitting outside of the main distribution, because every time you have any market, it doesn't have to be anything in crypto, basically any market that sits inside the volume profile that is looking like this, you will end up just going sideways for a couple of months basically, because there is so much volume traded in and it's very hard for the market to basically move from outside of that. BTC kind of sitting at the edge in this low volume area, so would be much smoother trade if, like I said, would reclaim here or whatever it's going to do. So yeah, I think someone is asking about TradFi. It's kind of sad if you think about it. Obviously both Nasdaq and S&P going much higher from the start of the week. I was kind of hesitant to go long. I had no positions in this. There was very nice entry on both Nasdaq and ES last week. When we tested this this consolidation. Right here. But yeah, I've been kind of careful. If you're gonna take a look at the Nasdaq, basically we are about to test. Everyone at this point, everyone is expecting new all-time highs. But this is the consolidation basically that started this whole breakdown, and we are testing it for the first time. So what would kind of make sense for me would be, all these people that are super eager to just see the all-time highs very soon, do basically something like this, rather than just go up in a straight line. Also from, rather than, like me trying to predict weeks on price action, I'm still kind of looking at things from like a risk to reward perspective. I think buying here is kind of stupid. Where is your invalidation? It's quite huge at that point. So I would definitely like to see the pullback, mostly for the sake that I could long into it. But yeah, both Nasdaq and ES are super overextended. DAX basically made a new all-time high, and looks like we are going to push it again very soon. So yeah, definitely crypto has been a little bit of a disappointment compared to legacy markets.
Did you at all, because I know you were busy with other stuff like real life, which is way more important, but did you pay any attention to BlackRock spot ETF and XRP winning?
I was watching it very briefly. I think the ETF is sometimes like this move basically, right, on BTC.
Yep.
Yeah. That was basically like 2 days ago. I kind of got out of from the computer and decided that I will be focusing more on the moving. So I missed this completely, but I felt like this was kind of a nice long trade here on the BTC, and the XRP move is funny, and I shared that on Twitter, like I believe back in May. Let me actually show this on the on Velo here with the order flow, because yeah, I think you shared that as well, and I shared it back in somewhere in when XRP was here. The black line, this thing right here, the black line here is the spot CVD, so someone, and without kind of any huge speculations about front running the news and insider information and all that, but back in end of the March basically on XRP right here, the spot CVD started really to go super parabolic. So someone was market buying a lot of spot in the XRP, which like I said, I shared that that it looks like someone is betting on the positive SEC outcome, and it kind of ended up happening. But I wasn't trading that. I felt like the issue with these things is that people that buy spot have much kind of a bigger room to go. Usually if you buy this big of a size in a spot, your invalidation is much wider as well. So it's kind of with a limited time, it's a little harder to kind of get into the futures trade and manage it, because obviously this still took like almost a little over 2 months basically until this move to the upside. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think you are much more in in the loop of what has been going on. So maybe if you could share some things you've been trading for the last 2 months, and what's been going on in general with altcoins and all that.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So look, last few weeks I think it's been pretty straightforward, because we had Bitcoin rally like a lot, right? We had the BlackRock spot ETF application around June 15th, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a bit sooner. Looking at the charts, probably sooner. Can anybody in the comments please let us know?
Yeah, it was around that mid of June, I think.
Yeah, I mean, price went up, right? So I went to a music festival, so I missed entire move up, and since then we've been chopping, right? So technically speaking, if I look at like daily, everybody and their mother are talking about this, but we're technically chopping between 30k and 31k, right? Or 31.2.
Yeah.
So I don't really trade Bitcoin, but in my opinion, if we can turn this a little bit into macro LARP podcast, maybe you might comment a little bit more on that. But I have a daily Bitcoin chart that looks pretty shit, and then if I look at something like, one second, traditional markets making new highs every single fucking day, and dollar index finally pumping a little bit. I'll open one sec.
Yeah, it's definitely this thing. Like I said, it's quite disappointing. I have seen some people on Twitter talking about that inflation is going down, and all the ETF stuff and everything with the stock market, because obviously all the stocks are going just parabolic to the upside. And like I saw a lot of people talking about this in a way that like it's like how super bullish is that for crypto in general, like with all these things that are going on. But I personally feel like that it's kind of a disappointing that crypto being this kind of a less liquid, higher beta basically to Nasdaq and all of this, like it should have been happening in my opinion already. It's when all this hype is kind of going to die down, and S&P and Nasdaq will eventually pull back, I feel like it can affect BTC and crypto in general even more. So I don't really think that if you have like a good news coming back and forth in the market, it's not responding to them immediately, it's actually a good news for the market. So yeah, that's kind of my point of view, especially with BTC. Like crypto has been always this kind of a very quick to react on any signs of positive data, and we had this move on BTC obviously in June, but after that it's just kind of losing the overall interest. So I don't know, it doesn't seem like super bullish to me. And obviously this price action which we have now for the last month or so, it seems like quite a big of a distribution, so yeah, it's kind of a not the most convincing chart for me to just be super bullish. But like I said, if we are going to just taking here the range lows, we show some sort of strength here, then I'd be happy to buy and once again play this kind of a back and forth until there is obviously a break on the either side.
It's one of those classics, everybody's getting bearish at range low, and everybody's getting super bullish and range high.
Yeah, but it's like that's only thing you can do here really is to wait. There's like not a real reason to try to front run this in any way. You'll be much kind of in a better spot if you just wait for that break, basically. Yeah, I don't know, from the altcoins outside of the XRP, I have been looking at a bunch of things. I was looking at the BNB, which is kind of dying as well. Has like lot of open interest in shorts, but I feel like probably BNB is like not the best thing to trade at the moment, considering in what a state the Binance is. So I'm kind of avoiding that completely with having excessive amount of money on Binance overall. So and rather than that, I feel like there is like quite a big correlation with BTC going in outside of the XRP. There wasn't anything like which would like very clearly break and went on its way. There was Solana in the last week basically, which I can remember, and then Bitcoin Cash a few weeks before that. But other than that, I don't really. I'm in the loop of what's been going on at the moment.
Yeah, a few coins that move was, as you said, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, and also, for example, Compound. But Compound is too illiquid for me to trade, so I did not trade it.
Yeah, I was watching that as well. But these DeFi coins, yeah, this is here.
On the topic of BNB, today there was a launch pad or whatever you want to call it, launch pool. I don't know which one of them took place, so maybe some people would, de-risk.
I was looking at. Oh yeah, they launched the thing today.
Argahan.
Yeah.
Let's go.
There was like I was looking at this. There was quite a bit of shorts. Obviously, I think like people trying to fade the release of the token. It couldn't really push even from that and squeeze these shorts that were coming in. So I don't know. I'm like super skeptical at the moment towards the Binance, and I will probably for quite some time try to avoid it overall, with, like I said, having any money there, and also trade the BNB. The higher time frame chart really looks like hell. This is like CZ doing everything he can to defend this 200 area of support, which has been tested now for like 7th time. So I don't know. I'm really, this is one of those things that can get super ugly, and I'm not sure if I just want to be, it feels to me a little like a unnecessary risk. Like you can make money elsewhere rather than gambling on the BNB and overall Binance situation at the moment.
Yeah, one sec, I'll just turn off this. Okay, it's gone. My bad.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't know, like I was looking at some of the order flow on the coins today, Solana also kind of dying down. Obviously we had this kind of a huge move to the upside. The CVD this is kind of interesting because like the spot CVD, they keep buying it, but someone is clearly taking the other side of that, because if you have a CVD going up and market is going down, it means that all this kind of a market buying is getting absorbed on the other side. So yeah, it doesn't look too hot at the moment, with not many coins that I can think of. We had this little pump on Sui, but
I believe in regards to Solana, there was Celsius selling today, or
yeah.
So that might affect the price action.
My issue with these coins, like you can see how this kind of was super one-directional move to the upside. The moves were basically everyone. Like if you would buy anywhere from here, basically all the way to the top that we made. This was so one-directional price action. Maybe like little pullback was here before this really went up. You had almost like a zero chance to fuck this thing up. Like everyone that longed here, market didn't give even a single pullback to kind of shake people out, and you can see that there was this one flush in the open interest basically on this whole way up, like the big flush. So these things, very often kind of retrace very aggressively because of how many people are still positioned, for the upside. And you can also see that huge increase in the OI in this section. That was kind of got closed here as well. So this is a little bit messy, but from like a simple price action perspective, I always am very kind of careful with these slow guys to the upside because how quickly they can just, retrace, especially if Bitcoin would continue to be weak.
Wait, so you're telling me that Solana is not going to $50?
Well, it doesn't look like it, even from the higher time frame. Yeah, and this daily price action is even kind of a clearer than that. You have this level of resistance. This kind of a huge level here. This just seems like a big flush to the upside, and as long as we are going to stay above it, I don't really see many reasons to kind of buy at the moment. But at the same time, if we would kind of push aggressively to the downside and then reclaim the level, and you would see that kind of a people trying to short this in this section, that would be a nice sign to play the continuation basically from there and target what is this 30-40 level basically. So, but yeah, so far it doesn't look super bullish to me.
How dare you? I'm gonna report you on CT now, man.
Yeah.
That's the
I
thing,
don't know.
man. Like, to me, it kind of feels like if you really zoom out, I know it's kind of a fucking cringe that we say zoom out, but if you go on like weekly chart on Bitcoin, this year has been pretty much up only in a way. I know it's not. Yeah, your chart is not loading, is it?
Oh yeah, BTC. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been up only, but it's been like mostly up only for BTC, and obviously like some altcoins will kind of outperform when the Bitcoin is rallying as well because the liquidity and all that. But at the same time, I don't know. It's quite hard to. This year is kind of quite hard to justify. Not focusing more on BTC, like especially if you are like me and I don't really care much about all the narratives and I don't really try to go through 50 different coins every day to kind of pick the popular thing at the moment because like this is not, and there is obviously this huge kind of argument where if you are in bull market, if you are in a bear market right now, I think like what is important here is that when there was any kind of a big bull market in crypto, like when you had the DeFi summer, for example, like all the coins were doing like 5 to 10x compared to the BTC, which was going up as well, but you had such a huge outperformance in in that moment when everyone was thinking that the DeFi is this huge new thing, that it almost like made no sense to just stick to BTC. But this year, although price is going up, it really feels like price is mostly going up for Bitcoin, and all the altcoins are catching just this kind of a short term higher beta to the upside, which is not that different basically compared to BTC. You don't see these kind of 5x 10x at least in like a major stuff. I'm not really trading the Rollbit token, which is up 10x, but I still try to focus on these kind of higher volume coins. So yeah, for me it's really hard to kind of focus too much on what's been going on because a lot of these coins has been kind of a underperforming compared to BTC. If you're gonna take a look at Matic, for example, this is the top in February, and look at where we are now. If you compare this to BTC, this is the same kind of time zone. So yeah, I don't know if I will kind of focus more on alts coming into this second part of the year. I personally feel like I will much more likely just be trading around Bitcoin and ETH, and when there would be some like a brain dead opportunity with something being like super obvious, which in a sense that the XRP push to the downside was because you don't really see the spot CVD doing this for such a long time, with also like market structure. If you're going to once again do like a super simple price action stuff, with this being supported by like market respecting the levels and all of that basically coming into the play. So these are the trades that in hindsight especially, but in general this wasn't like too hard to get some sort of long exposure, but other than that I don't know if I will be really screening altcoins all day and just kind of look what is out there to trade. But yeah, that's me. Maybe you have like some sort of list of things where you want to be focusing on in the next, or for the summer at least.
Hell, fucking no! Like I'm gonna open my charts. So I guess my big issue is ETH BTC to begin with.
I haven't seen that for quite some time. I have no idea how the chart looks like.
So I believe you're still in this 2-year range since 2021, from like April.
Nothing really changed there.
And if anything, we're approaching range lows. I believe this part right here was a deviation, which led to the EIP 1559, if I'm not mistaken, which was basically ETH becoming deflationary. Lol. That didn't last long. But ETH went against Bitcoin from bottom to top. Holy shit, that's a lot, man. 61%. What I'm trying to say with that, I believe altcoins will follow ETH BTC and Total Tree, if anything. Total Tree, did you ever look at Total Tree chart?
No, in like 5 years that I've been keeping track of crypto, I never opened that chart ever. So I don't even look at the ETH BTC all that much. Have been always kind of a very setup based in like when I like the chart I will just trade it. So no, I don't really pay too much of attention to that.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen last few days is basically altcoins doing well for like 2 hours and then fully retracing. When you had crypto Twitter pumping something, that being Doge, Sui, Aptos, nothing really sticked around. So me personally, I'm just waiting if this range actually loses, even though it's such a silly, easy range of like 31,200 to essentially like 30k. Because who's there to say that we might bounce today, and go to the mid-range and then range high again? So
yeah, it's like a second or third retest of the lows, so it's not going to bounce forever. I mean, like both sides were tested quite a bit on BTC. We had obviously 2 or 3 tests on the range high. Now we are for the third time at the range low. So like the more touches, the more kind of likelihood of breaking to the either side. So I'm very careful at the moment with any type of longs. Let me actually take a look at this. You can, like I said, you see that on hourly chart. We had quite a big increase in the open interest. Both CVDs going down, so these are very likely shorts coming in. But there was not all that many liquidations, and one of those things that when people trade these kind of trap setups, when they see one side pushing the market, obviously you need those buyers to kind of step in here. It's like the one side that is being aggressive can very easily win if no one is going to pick that. You can see that for example ETH had this super clean order flow on Friday where we pushed to that resistance on a weekly. It's somewhere on the left, whatever. You have all this buying coming in, and then it all of a sudden stops and start to be this kind of a distributive, sideways action. So it's very clear that all this momentum is now met with that kind of a passive selling, and this is very likely. And you can see also, the spot CVD going down, perp CVD kind of going up still. So, this is one of those things where you want to be taking the opposite side. But, for BTC at the moment, or for, anything else, I believe that has this kind of rising open interest. This doesn't mean that we are going to retrace as long as no one is going to kind of step and, take the opposite side, which could look something like this, or, it just can, any kind of strong momentum buying, then you are hoping to basically catch a retest for that. Someone is asking about Aptos. Let me take a look. I haven't seen that chart in quite some time. You mentioned you are short. Yeah, I think this is a decent short if you shorted 8.2.
Holy shit, the guy fucking shorted the fucking Pico top.
Yeah, like the high was like, yeah, like if you really shorted all this 8.2, which we didn't even properly traded here on Binance, and you just basically got to the other side of this buying, then I think this is a very nice trade to keep on. Obviously, like I said, the thing is that correlation with BTC is super high at the moment. So I feel like, you are betting quite a bit on the fact if Bitcoin is going to reclaim this level or not. Or that's like something you should take into consideration. Personally, I would be probably try to hold this for a bit, but would be very aggressive to trail my stops. If you start to see like even like flipping on this very small level of SR here, I would be most likely cutting the trade, because obviously you don't want to get too much back. Even it can do something like this, but you need to ask yourself, like, do you really want to be sitting in all this kind of unrealized PNL vanishing and then just hoping you will just retest the high here and flush lower? So if you are short from here, it's a super nice trade, but I would be managing it rather aggressively at this point. So yeah, these are my kind of thoughts on that.
Yeah, he literally created the top, with his limit orders. So.
Yeah. Someone is asking also about Matic. This is, yeah, we had this quick push to the upside, but it completely kind of died down. It's kind of interesting to see, because if you are going to take a look at the open interest, you had a lot of buying coming here, and then you had a lot of buying coming here, which is actually this side of price action. This last move to the upside seemed like a like huge covering rally, and also a bunch of liquidations here. But the people, basically the idea and how I like to look at the open interest from time to time is that, like, you have a general level of SR. First of all, like resistance, turning support. This is already looking like very weak and about to break down. But also, like, if anyone bought with decent amount size in this area, they were still in profit. They very likely covered it here, but you still should find a little bit of demand from the buyers from here. So this is very kind of a key level for me to personally see hold. If that's going to fail, then I think we are going to be testing here at 67 cents. But this is looking pretty bad. There is like, you have all these kind of wicks, and this was very similar to BTC, where market is like, on the hourly time frame, you have all these wicks at these kind of levels of support, these kind of small bounces. Market is always looking like it's going to reverse. Everyone is kind of getting bullish, but then we will just kind of flush lower and lower. So yeah, there is definitely not much bullish about the Matic chart, in my opinion, at the moment. But if you would get decent push to the upside, then you can kind of assume that this might have been the low and follow to the higher.
I believe one of the things for Matic is a few things.
Was this like a news related push, or it just went up?
I believe they had a rebrand. Did you see
Oh,
that at all?
okay. Oh yeah, I think I read something that they're going to rebrand the token to Polygon or
Yeah,
something like
something. I believe something with P. I
Yeah.
didn't really pay that much attention, and we had a bunch of people basically saying you probably will not be able to find it on Velo, but maybe in TradingView when we had, I believe it was late 2020 when we had Polygon rebrand, and it did like
Mhm.
150x or whatever, and you had basically people making the fractal, and I was like, can I have
Okay.
can I have your drug dealer's number, you know?
Yeah, I remember that kind of a huge move in Matic back in a few years ago, yeah. But it's you know, like that's one of the things that, like, you know, very different market overall compared to 2020, so you need to be a little careful with that. I don't know if anyone in chat has something that you are trading, or you know, that has some maybe interesting, you know, narrative around it, because like I said, I haven't really kept much of a track of what's going on. I've been using Velo a lot, so I to be fair only look at coins that are here, so and they don't have all that many
Everything.
coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have everything, so I'm pretty sure I miss a lot of things. INJ was looking interesting yesterday. I tried to buy some, but I got kind of trailed out. You know, I was expecting much bigger move to the upside. Why this still has such a negative funding? Is it something with the coin itself, or?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I think
Okay, yeah.
people have like
Because
Stockholm syndrome.
yeah, because like this, you know, like INJ was like super good performer. You know, you can see from start of the year. You know, this is probably one of the best performing coins. And the negative funding thing started, you know, I think a couple months ago. The data, it's always been kind of negative funding thing, but you know, it started to get extremely negative here in April. And you know, it still looks to me like there is like a decent amount of spot buying. You know, you can see that you have like a huge spot bid here towards the highs yesterday as well. You know, like I was basically I took a long yesterday on this retest, and then I basically closed it at break even, because I was really expecting that this will push back towards the high with this kind of a spot bid coming in again, and you know, funding going negative again. But yeah, it's. I was just wondering if it's one of those things that, like Ape, where you have negative funding because of the staking or whatever people do with the Ape coin. But yeah, this the INJ is definitely, I feel like, you know, the coins that has been performing extremely well this year. I don't see many people on CD talking about it as well. So yeah, if you just compare it to basically anything else, you know, it's been really up only, very similar to Bitcoin. So definitely a things that I pay attention to when I want to get long. And you know, it in like the simplest terms, the coin performs well and the funding is also negative. So you know, it pays to be long at the end of the day. But so far it's looking kind of weak from the price action side of things. So yeah.
You know, Injective is one of those things that everybody was trying to short for months. So you have
Yeah.
1 hour chub. If you do like 4 hour or 12 hour, you basically have this structure since January. And I believe negative funding was there for like forever.
Yeah.
So nobody really shorting had a good time.
I
as
feel
far-
like, yeah, like you had like a decent short opportunities on higher time frames, and obviously, but you need to kind of think about this from a sense that, like, if you are day trading, you know, and you don't hold trades for long, you don't really care about funding all that much, you know, like the worst case scenario, you'll pay, you know, 1 or 2 funding cycles if you hold trade for like day or two, or like half a day or two. But you know, if you are trying to kind of swing trade the thing, which, you know, this was a nice setup, you know, like you broke underneath some of the levels of structure, you know, you came, retested this high, which probably traded above something on the left, retest of the level here, and you know, off we go. But if you think about it, then you are holding the trade here for like 2 or 3 weeks with funding in this is like 0.1%. You pay 0.3% of your whole size in a day in funding. I think it kind of sucks. From like, and I believe in this kind of April to May period, lot of things were selling off as well. So probably try to find things where you are not paying to be short, if you want to short something. And like I said, this has been performing quite well throughout the year. So yeah.
I guess one thing we could cover is Litecoin.
Okay. I was trying to long this. Actually, I got even filled too long on Friday. I got filled here. And then I cut the trade because the BTC was selling off from the range high. I realized it's like the first trade I took after moving in. I kind of very quickly realized that I'm pretty late to the whole halving narrative at this point. Is when is like in a 2 or 3 weeks?
I believe it's like in 17 days.
In 17 days, yeah. So yeah, I was kind of hoping this would go a little more up. At the time, I got saved by the fact that BTC was looking quite like a shit. It's the same when we were here. So I got out of the trade. It would have been lost most likely. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's really a little too late to play the narrative. I've seen a Donald posting the Litecoin halving chart, and basically LTC coming very close to the halving. It never really performed very well. So I feel like probably your best bet was really in like from here to here, and then just kind of exit the things. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, Donald has been pretty vocal about it. He was basically repeating stuff like, hey, I showed you Litecoin half a year ago when it was whatever 60, and he doesn't see the setup in there anymore because halving is too soon.
We had, even if you're gonna take a look at the daily chart, we had this huge daily candle. It failed to hold above these highs, and you can see even the open interest here, on this day, and basically 2 days after that, so many positions opened. I'm pretty sure these are people heavily betting on the halving that are now stuck underside. So yeah, I feel like that trade is kind of gone at the moment. When I was longing, I was really thinking that we might have little room to bounce, not even to the highs, but at least like test something here, but it didn't happen. So, and open interest is still kind of holding up. So, people must be little sweaty, in from basically this whole kind of section here, holding their halving longs. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really be betting on that too much. I think that, like I said, the trade is mostly gone. But it's been a very nice opportunity throughout the year.
I feel like a lot of people miss the point in all of these altcoin trades. Not all of them, but like let's say we have halving in like 14 to 20 days. I could Google it, who gives a shit? And a lot of people the point is, a lot of people are aping in long side here when everybody's like, either already positioned or already took the trade, like Donald. They're basically providing liquidity for no damn reason.
Yeah.
Like shorting here is not a good risk reward. I short it at 102 and I closed it at 99, like a repeat. I am.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's like a lot of these charts are just kind of crawling down very slowly. So I've seen, like, just to show the example of the things that you want to be shorting, which I think I was looking at the Arbitrum here. No, it wasn't ARB. Yeah, I will remember the token that I was talking about, just to show kind of the things that you want to be shorting. But in general, like things like this, when you see a large amount of buying, from here coming into the resistance, these are the good places to short, not the market slowly bleeding down, and the second you are going to short, it's going to just spike up to shake you out, basically.
Yeah, I believe layer 2, so that is yours. Arbitrum and Optimism have some upgrade coming in, some EIP thing, which I don't remember the name, but I believe it's in Q4. Let me Google it 1 second.
That's quite far away. I will just quickly go back to someone was asking about GMT and 1inch. I have seen these today actually going kind of. I think 1inch already retraced quite a bit, but these are the coins that I don't really trade because how thin they are. I don't really like these things. Yeah, this is This is 1inch. Yeah, did all this. GMT would, I think, yeah, did something very similar. I had a level here which we tested, but yeah, I don't really like to trade these things. It's like super, like I have a maybe kind of interesting for some people to show. I use Livetas for picking up on all of these things. But I have a filter here. You unfortunately need a premium account to use these things. But I'm only looking at coins that have over $25 million in the open interest. And no, I didn't want to do that. And if you have a coin where you have something like I believe it was the case for 1inch and both 1inch and GMT that they popped up here because the open interest was above 25 million, but in the last 24 hours it spikes like 250%. You can see that today we only had SUI which is up 60% in OI, but the days before that we had that 1inch and GMT. Then I generally avoid these things because it's just too kind of thin to me, and also I like coins that have at least 100 million in volume. So I'm trying to kind of filter out the things because it's obviously these things are super attractive for a lot of people. You have a bunch of volatility, things are going up and down, but and for day trading I feel like it's kind of fine when you have very tight invalidations, but I don't really day trade. At the moment, I kind of like to hold things for a bit, so yeah, I'm kind of avoiding these. Someone asked FTM. Sorry. Yeah, this looks kind of like shit. It's not here. Yeah.
Yeah, FTM had the multi-chain thing. I don't know if you paid attention to that.
No, that's like completely outside. Link is doing well. It had that popular AMD ICT, rect proof thing. Let me I'm not even going to bother drawing it. You have this kind of like a accumulation, you traded under that, reclaim that. So basically people are drawing this. I've seen like, if I go to my explore page on Twitter, I swear to God that I have like 10 link charts that basically have one box here, second box here, and the third box here. So this is like the biggest narrative for Link now. I'm not sure how well it's going to play, but it's definitely not looking bad. The thing with these AMD, power of three patterns or whatever you want to call them, is that in section here, when you trade under the lows, it's very easy for market to pick it up and trap all the breakout shorts in this kind of section and get back into this level. But then and you can see it on a volume profile here as well. When you are going to get back into this midpoint, then this is where you really need that kind of a new demand, new buyers, because there's so much volume traded here to really do that new high basically. So from like a risk to reward perspective, if you are, doing that range, trap expansion, I feel like buying in this lower section as close to the lows as possible, on Link. I haven't traded that, I was kind of away at the moment, but let me show you. Is that after we made the low here, we had a lot of these kind of shorts coming in here, and it feels like shorts because this kind of gray line, which is the perp CVD, going lower, and also funding was kind of constantly sliding negative. So these were shorts. The execution wise, you could use something like super simple, like the trade line break, not something that I like to use, but it would work in this case quite well. So this is that kind of a trap, because the move to the downside was like a huge flush, so this was more like a run on the stops, but then you had this kind of a genuine shorts piling in, and this is where your trade was quite easy, and this was very kind of unidirectional until we basically stopped because we hit that that like huge midpoint of this range, basically. So that's like, I still I think it's looking decent. Obviously from like a PA perspective, resistance break, turn support. So as long as you are holding structure, I don't really see a reason to short this. But all I'm saying is that it's not going to be easy like that, in my opinion, to just push to $10 or whatever.
Yeah, I did not look at Chainlink at all. It's like, one of those forever cursed coins.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, what's the strategy for high negative funding coins? I'm gonna switch to my chart. I'm gonna open CoinGlass. Do you want in meantime to explain what is a negative funding? Because people usually think it's essentially a short squeeze in the making, when it's total fucking bullshit.
Yeah, sure. So basically the funding is based on if you have spot trading above or below the perp price. If spot is above it, then funding is negative, and when the perp is above the spot, it means that funding is positive. So in a sense, you can kind of say that it's because like more people are going directional long or short, but usually funding highly negative or positive, and I know, and it's easier to look for negative fundings. I feel like in crypto, you have these kind of short squeezes much often. I don't really remember when I would take a trade like on the short side because the funding was super positive. But there are basically there are like multiple scenarios when this can happen. If market is going to flush so much, like for example BTC in March, when we made that kind of a 20k bottom, you had a huge flush in the open interest. So basically you can see it here, flush in the OI, so futures started trading heavily under the spot, because obviously how many people got liquidated. But sometimes, and this is more clearly visible in altcoins, you have a negative funding because you have a lot of spot buying, and if someone is buying a spot, like here for XRP, although XRP didn't have a negative funding all the way, but basically, as someone was buying a lot of this spot here, funding was sliding negative because of that, because spot was kind of climbing above the per price. The INJ is actually a nice example of that, where you have these like huge chunks of spot buy, and will cause it, and it takes a little bit of time as well, but like a lot of buying in spot basically turns funding negative as well. So it can be different meaning. It definitely doesn't mean, you know, that more people are long or short and it immediately has to go for a squeeze.
Somebody's asking about Doge.
Okay, I think I will have to slowly run off because I have to pick up some things for the apartment. Kalle on Twitter is calling Doge short squeeze. Does the chart look that promising? A lot of people calling 14 to 22 cents. Well, if the chart is looking promising, well, I don't know. Like personally,
No, it looks fucking shit.
Yeah,
I'll help you with that. It looks fucking shit.
I think it doesn't look all that bad. Like, you know, you still kind of hold the levels from the order flow, but yeah, like if you're going to take a look, you know, you had this huge run up to the upside. Once again, big increase in the open interest, big increase in volume. Started to squeeze immediately. So if anything, you know, people that went long here are getting squeezed at the moment. So from order flow perspective, I'm not really see many like shorts piling in to get squeezed. From the higher time frame, simple price action perspective, you know, you still have resistance can be turned to support, but yeah, it doesn't look like super interesting to me. Someone said that BTC is, well, I wouldn't say is squeezing that much. I like I said, I would be really interested back above 30k, not here. So yeah, I think this would slowly be it for today.
Yeah, look, if you need to go, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, I will have to go. We've been live for an hour, so I think it wasn't all that bad. I believe next week we will have a little more to talk about. I will be fully back to things, so hopefully we will have at least some sort of volatility.
Okay, cool, everybody. Cheers for tuning in. If you really need to go, and I'm gonna cut it.
Okay, cool. Thank you, and see you next week.